There's things that happen and you go, oh, that sounds like it's pretty reasonable. And then you start digging a little bit more and you go, oh, maybe that's not so great. Hey, everybody, I'm Craig. Welcome to the Side Scrollers Podcast channel. If you're new, hit the subscribe button. Love to see you guys join the normal mid. We're closing in on 103,000. Let's get that today. Let's stink and go. All right, look. We saw this happen a couple weeks ago in California, and they announced this new law that says if you buy something digitally, you don't technically own it. This is from The Verge over here. It says California's new law forces digital stores to admit you're just licensing content, not buying it. Now, on the surface, I think most people heard that and they go, "Oh yeah, that sounds awesome. I like that because I like to know that I don't actually own it because I want to own things." Now, we can get into the physical versus digital aspect of all this stuff, and believe me, I would love to get into the physical versus digital aspect of all this stuff because I firmly believe physical is the way to go. But with that said, I do own over 200. I don't own. I do have access to over 200 games on Steam. I mean, it makes it so easy. And I think that's the thing when it comes to digital stuff. But this was announced a couple weeks ago, and this is set to take place in 2025. The idea that this new law, because if you have any sort of digital item, like if I buy a game on my PlayStation or if I buy a game on Steam, then I own it. Well, not really. We've seen this happen here over and over again. The idea that it's just a licensing, and Steam is preparing, based off this new law, to make some changes. As a matter of fact, they've already made that change as they unveiled this a couple days ago. The idea that you don't actually own your digital PC games, you're just licensing. And this just rolled out. And this is an article from Hindustan Times, the beacon of journalism here. It says, when you buy digital games online, you don't receive anything tangible. There's no physical discs that you own. Instead, you simply have access to games on your library on platforms like Steam to download. Now, Valve, the parent company of Steam, has confirmed that you don't own your games. You will receive all you receive after purchasing the game is a digital license for it on Steam, as reported by Engadget and The Verge. This confirmation is now reportedly visible on the desktop version of Steam, though it has not appeared in the mobile version. So what does this mean exactly for gamers, right? Like I said, I have 200 something games on Steam, 218, 219, something like that. I know a lot of you guys have a lot more than that. So do I actually own them? No, I don't, and it sucks. This is one of those things that, like I said, it's a bigger conversation along here. And I think when people first saw this initial announcement of California's new law, they're like, hey, that sounds pretty good. But then you see the slope that starts to happen. You go, oh shit, I actually don't own all those games. And I think most people understood that, but to see it in black and white is kind of jarring along the way. There's obviously the idea of physical versus digital games, and I think this actually brings up a bigger opportunity. I know a lot of people sell their games through like GOG, good old games, and there are physical versions of some PC games, but you wonder if there will be an opportunity for someone to step in and actually make physical versions of the bigger AAA games nowadays, or physical games could potentially be offered. I mean, I think back to the '90s where you'd get a game and you could get a game on a PC and you'd have to put in a disc and have it load in and all this stuff. And it was definitely a different time, but the physical aspect of it, you owned it. I think of like Dan Vasc having all his classic PC games in his background. And the physical nature of it. Digital makes things a lot easier, and we all understand that, but you definitely are losing something along the way. And Steam is complying to that in this situation where, and honestly, it's not their fault. This is the law that's been put in place along the way. It's always been implied, but now it's true. Now, with that said, we can go over to Mology over on X, and I think this is very accurate for a lot of people. Steam's new disclaimer: purchasing a game doesn't mean you own it. And gamers are going to hit the high seas, if you will, looking for those games and being pirates on the high seas. But I think you will definitely see. And by the way, piracy is massive. I talked about this before. Back at Screw Attack, we worked on the first two Angry Video Game Nerd Adventure games, and we, as well as a few other games. But I remember the one in particular with the first Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures game. We saw that over 90% of the people that played the game actually had pirated it And it was like, what? It was so upsetting to see that many people pirate the game and just use it that way. And you're thinking like so I think we sold 50, I don't know, 30, 40, 50,000 copies of the game back then. And you think about if we had like, 10x that, holy shit, that would have been spectacular. Even if we just 5x that, if half those people had bought the game for $5 instead of the, 15, 20 bucks, whatever it is we were selling it for, that would have been spectacular. But with that said, we understand that's kind of the nature of the beast when it comes to this stuff. And this is making it considerably easier for people to pirate along the way. But this always goes back to this article from Medium. And this article is from 2016. Do you remember this? Welcome to 2030. I own nothing. I have no privacy, and life has never been better. Published by the World Economic Forum. Welcome to the year 2030. Welcome to my city, or shall I say our city. I don't own anything. I don't own a car. I don't own a house. I don't own appliances or cars or any clothes. It might seem odd to you, but it's the perfect sense for us in the city. Listen, this is the bigger goal. And like I said, on the surface, you start clapping and you go, yeah, California actually did something right. And then you realize, oh shit, this may not be good after all. This is a bigger conversation. And I know this is something that is happening in society consistently, where we're talking about digital goods and this you'll own nothing and you'll be happy aspect of it. But I would love to hear your thoughts about this down in the comments. I'm sure you're not happy about this direction, as when that article was posted, that was 8 years ago. We are now on the downside of that slope as we move closer to 2030. So if that truly is the World Economic Forum's goal of you will own nothing and you'll be happy, California just led another step towards that with this move, and Steam has complied because they legally have to. With that said, got another video for you right here. If you're new, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I got a bunch of other stuff coming your way, and of course, you can join us Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time when we're live talking about all this stuff and all the other insanity in the video game space. We'd love to see you then.